Hey guys, today we're going to be looking at some tips for great Android application development. So the reason I'm making this video is because I review a lot of games. I look at a lot of games, and what I see is some things that I think make good Android games and apps. And so lately I've been playing this game, Pocket Mine. It's a brand new game. I did a review for it a few days ago. I'll throw a link down below so you can actually check out the actual game. But I kind of game because I've been playing it a lot, and I noticed some things about it that I think would help other developers maybe make better games. So Pocket Mine, just to give you a brief overview, is a mining game where you kind of tap and dig deeper and collect gems and jewels and playing cards, and we'll see a little bit as I go through it. But before I start, let's start with point one. Do cloud syncing for your users. So what that means is I've been playing this game on a bunch of different tablets and phones and things like that. So to give you like an illustration why that's important, when Angry Birds Space first came out, I was on vacation and my whole family and I were playing it. I mean, it literally just came out. It was something that, it was brand new, and we'd worked through, I think, all the levels, mostly 3-starred. I mean, we were really into it, right? And so when I got back and I started playing on my on my newer tablet, I didn't have all the levels. And honestly, I never went back and played it again after that. I felt like, why would I want to go through all that again? And so one of the things I think with this game, Pocket Mine, is the ability of it to sync between devices has really kept me engaged with it. I can play on my tablet, I can play on my phone, I can do good lunch at work and play there. Then when I get home, I can throw up my tablet and play it there. So you can see here, I reset my data on this phone, and you can see right here where it says I can use my local or I can use the cloud. So let me use that one, and then just like that. Now, in this particular app, whenever you do this, when you load it up you don't have to sync your account every time. Basically, it just checks the cloud to see if there's a newer version. You see this message and OK, and then all my data is back. So as a developer, I think that's key, right? I think Google even supplies these APIs for you now, so it's just a matter of implementing them. And I think if you have a game like this where you're building a character, you're building progress, it's something essential. You don't want users starting over on different devices. Users don't have the patience to play through the same levels twice. They want to see new content and do new things. So point one, make sure you can do syncing between devices. I think it really helps engage your users. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is iterating your development, right? So as you iterate, what does that mean? So if you're a developer, you probably heard iteration. I'm a developer, so I know what that is. But to give you the point, right? When this game first came out, they have this thing where you can collect different items, right? And you can see here, how many of each item you have. What it didn't have, however, was this next reward line right here, and that being added to it helps the user understand what they're getting, right? So before, when I played this, I was like, oh, I don't know what kind of card I'm getting when I get these next things. So now I know this is a rare card, or this is just a common card, or whatever it might be. But that type of iteration really helps the user understand the game, understand the reward. Maybe they'll play a few more minutes to kind of keep them engaged. So that's something I think as you continue to develop your game, make it better. Just do small tweaks to it, refine it a little bit as you go through, and I think you'll find your users appreciate that. It makes your game better. It makes the users see updates more readily. They understand that new things are coming into it. So that's something else I think is really important. Kind of along add new content after you release your app. So as I said, this app is brand new, and we jump into the actual game itself and we'll see. I didn't get lucky. What they did though is they added a Halloween theme to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just lose quickly here to illustrate this. But what they did is they added a whole new set of collectibles. They added a whole new set of backgrounds. The little guy there, he happens to turn into a mummy, which is kind of a different skin. And I don't think they spent a ton of time doing it. Maybe they had it planned with the release. I don't know. But again, it shows users you're adding new content, you're adding new things to the game itself, which are new things for the users to do. So if you had a user who was sort of ahead of the curve for whatever reason and really digging into it, hey, it's new content. So you ever played World of Warcraft, you ever played an MMO, and you ever hit that sort of end game, you'll know what I'm talking about. Users who are into your game want to continue to play it, and they want new stuff. So again, the Halloween stuff was a nice addition. A lot of games do that. A lot of them add seasonal content and things like that. I'm not getting into that right now, so let me again, I'll just let this guy kind of roll up here. The next point, in-app purchases, right? So this game does have in-app purchases, and so I don't mind in-app purchases as long as they don't hinder the game. And I think that's what you'll find with most players. They don't want pay to win. That's the sort of common thread you'll see. But they just don't want it to feel like they have to pay for it, right? It's okay if you want to like speed up the process, for instance. So this game in particular was very clever about it in that you start off with 5 of these little energy things right here, and they take 15 minutes per to regenerate. So for $2 they actually allowed me to get to 8. 8, as it turns out, is just about the amount of time I want to play, and it's something that I regret not at all spending on, right? Now they as well have these gems, right? And these gems do all kinds of different things in the game as well. I've not bought one of those. I've not needed them. I don't need them. I'm not looking to buy extra card packs, which I think are in here. You can buy cards. So as you can see, they're different packs in here. I feel like I have more enjoyment out of the game actually playing it and collecting these cards as opposed to buying them. Some other person, hey, they may want to get some of the better cards and really dig down there. So they'll pay for this. They'll pay the extra money, but it doesn't block me from playing it. And I think that's the key thing. If you're going to do in-app purchases, do it in a way where users who don't want to spend the money can progress to the game. It might take them a little longer. They may have to spend some more time grinding or doing things that other players don't, but it's not necessary. And I think that's where it's a fine line, right? You want to entice people. I know you want to make money. I know you got to do things to get people interested and in purchasing things. But I'm telling you, if you have a good game with a bunch of to do, the players will give you the money to do the things they think will make them enjoy the game the most. And in my case, like I said, that energy was a no-brainer for me. Those extra 3 plays is enough for me to play my, play through lunch or play, for a few minutes at night, and I think that's well worth the money itself. So again, in-app purchases, be careful with it. Make sure if you do it in a way that the users don't feel blocked, right? All right, so the next point, add layers to the gameplay. And so this is something, this game by itself, I don't think would be as successful without this card layer they built on top of it. Excuse me. And with that, this collectible layer, right? If you didn't have these 2 components, I don't think I'd have played the game as long as I have. And it's an interesting idea in that the cards affect the gameplay, right? So it's sort of in a way improving a character. It's got a random effect on it. This game in particular, when you start to play, you'll see on the top here that you get cards that you drew, and you can hold these cards and reshuffle them for either the in-cash money, and then once you shuffle them enough times, you can actually start shuffling for gems. Now these cards, especially as you continue to play, you can see I'm level 39 up here, they really affected the way game plays. Hey, look, I got the Halloween one this go around, so you'll get to take a quick look at what they did for Halloween. But that said, these cards really affect gameplay, but they're collectibles, right? And not only are they collectibles, but you can actually upgrade them. So you can see with this coal card here, there's 4 stars right around here. And that means I've collected 4 of these and through their game merged them together to create a better card. So not only am I collecting, I'm making the things I collect better, I'm making the way the game plays different, and I'm making it it's just more interesting. This shuffle thing makes it where I can't just pick the cards, so it adds a random element to it. And then that takes more time, obviously, because I'm spending my money to shuffle these things. But when you get a nice combination of cards, you're really like into that particular game because you're like, man, I want to see how far down I can go or how much money I can collect. So if you build that kind of layered gameplay, right, I think it really involves the player. And so this is a prime example of that concept. Now, again, with this Halloween update, they actually added a bunch of new crates with those collectibles in it. So again, the collectibles help earn you cards. So not only are you collecting sets of things, but once you collect a set, you actually get there's a crate right there. So you can see I collected something for Halloween, and you only get the Halloween items within this Halloween level. So again, they're driving me to play this more for the Halloween content, because I don't know if it's going to expire or not expire, if I'll be able to play it anymore. Not every game has the Halloween content, so because of that, when I do play the Halloween levels, I'm really, really intrigued by it. I'm really entrenched in it. I want to get as much of the crates as I can because I don't see it every time. I've only got a limited number of energy to play, and I want to try to maximize my play. So it adds an element to the game. So I'll go ahead and let this guy kind of finish up here. I don't need to play the whole level. But again, this kind of fits into the same realm as achievements. This particular game doesn't have achievements, and generally I like those. I like the play integration. I think that's something that a game should have. In the case of this game, I would like to have it, right? But it's not as essential because they've added these other layers. Here's the collectible thing I was talking about here. So you can see all the little collectibles. Let me get down to the bottom here, and you'll see the Halloween episode versions of it. So here we go. Halloween and Spooky are the two sets of different items for Halloween. So those items, you can tell I've played a ton of them. I've collected a lot of items. I need this guy right here if anybody has one. But as you can tell, those are layers to gameplay. And once I collect this third, whatever that guy is, mummy it looks like, I'll get another card, and I can tell right away, hey, it's going to be a really good one. And those are the epic cards, I believe. So layer your gameplay. Come up with different ways to build your gameplay around some other items. The game, as I said, by itself, I don't think it'd be enough to really intrigue me without all the little things wrapped around it. Excuse me. So, and one last example of that is they have chests that you collect as you play. Keys are generated through missions prior to the level that you can't see until you start, and it may say, hey, collect a bunch of these or collect a bunch of those, and if you get that, you get rewarded with keys. So if you have enough keys, you can unlock these chests, which give you more cards. So the keys obviously tie to currency. So I don't have to buy these keys to get them. And as a matter of fact, I've opened several of these diamond chests. I had, I think, 8 or 9 of them at one point, and I've saved enough keys to go through those. So it's, again, if I really wanted to, when I had all those keys before I earned them, I could have easily paid for them and moved ahead. It didn't affect my game so much, but if I was less patient, maybe I wanted to get a few more cool cards, that would have been something I may have considered. So again, layers, layers, layers. I can't say it enough. I think that's what really drives a great game these days. Some games are strong, like Angry Birds. Initially out the chute, that was an interesting enough game where people played it. But you can even tell with Angry Birds over time, they started building up that spinning wheel on the random jackpot every day. They've got power-ups. They've got different things like that now. So they've even had, build off of the original concept by adding these things. So I'll kind of jump off that now, I think, but that's a really good thing for a developer to see. Adding some other things like that to build into your game, I think, really add value to it and will make people want to play it more. And then the final thing, and I think it goes without saying, people still do it. Even this game does it, but they actually let you turn it off, and that's notification advertisements or just notifications in general. Be very careful when your app starts to notify people because of, hey, your power's recharged, or you have a new card, or God forbid you put an advertisement in that thing. I've seen people on forums, on Reddit, on Shack News where I frequent, and as soon as an app throws an advertisement in that window, people just uninstall it. Some guys are so anti that as soon as you hit them with that advertisement, they're done. They're done. And so, there may be an argument to be said for, well, for each one of those guys, maybe 3 of those guys click that ad, and that makes it worth it. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. I'm just telling you, if you want people to keep your app installed, though, there is a certain percentage of people who hate it. And the same thing with just general notifications. If you bother people too much with your game, especially a game that they're not playing, they're more apt to get rid of it than they are to probably come back and play it. There's probably some exceptions to that. There's games like maybe that drawing game that was out for a while, or a game like the Words with Friends, where people are waiting on you to respond. That may make some sense. And if you're going to do it like these folks did. Make it where you can turn it on and off, right? That right there, just having that there is something I think that has a huge benefit. The ability for me to turn that off without having to block it via the Android system, I think, is it's a nice thing for developers to do. Ideally, I'd like to have them ask that up front. This game doesn't do that. I've seen people in different apps do that, where when you first come into the application, they'll prompt you and say, do you want us to put notifications or not? I think that's fantastic. And I think that's a good way to build goodwill between you and your player base by allowing them to pick and choose the way your app will interact with them, because without that, I think you lose people, and I think it's important to keep that in mind as you build your application. If you're going to use those types of things, be aware of it. It does affect people in negative ways. So that's my rant on making good Android applications, or some good best practices. Like I said, I think a lot of people know these, but this game I've been playing a lot, and I really thought about, like, what are the things that keep me coming back to it. So again, iteration of the product, adding layers to gameplay, adding new content after the release, the integration with Google Play if you can do it. In-app purchasing, it's fine, but be careful with it. Make sure people don't have to do it, right? But make them intrigued enough where maybe they want to do it, to maybe spend less time doing actual game stuff, right? And then the syncing of progress, I think that's key. People have multiple devices these days. They don't want to start over with your game every time they pick it up. Use the Google APIs. They've put that stuff out there for people to use, so there's really no excuse anymore. It's out there for a reason, and I think that you're selling your app and your game short by not taking advantage of it. And then finally, don't spam the notifications bar, or or with ads, or with just alerts. It's something people don't like, and you got to be careful with it. So there you go. There's my humble opinion on what makes a good Android game and application. I'm a developer by trade. I am not a game developer, but I play a ton of them. I read lots of forums, I talk to lots of people, and I talk about what kind of games they play and what they do and don't like. And these are definitely things I've heard over and over again. The games I see being played over and over have these attributes to them, at least a couple of them in general. You have to have good gameplay to start, but you can really make a world-class product by building a few extra things into it, and that's what this whole video is about. So there you go, tips for Android app development and gameplay. I'd love to hear other people's feedback. I'd love to hear what people think about what they do and don't like about applications, things that you think make great games, things that people do that annoy you. So there you go. This is the first video I've done like this. Maybe I'll do a few more. I've always got an opinion on something. So, but this is something I think I think most people know, and just I think it helps for people to kind of reiterate it. If you're thinking, hey, I got a couple extra weeks, should I push it out? Maybe look at a few of these items and maybe make your game just that much better. So, tips for Android development, and we'll see you guys soon.